What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my Draftkings MMA picks video for UFC Baku. We have Khalil Roundtree going against Jamal Hill. And yeah, looking forward to this card. We got an early start time, which I'm really looking forward to. The fights are kicking off at 12 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. And yeah, hopefully there's no shenanigans on this card. I feel like there's been a lot of shenanigans lately. Like fighters pulling out during the card, just weird no contest, just a lot of shenanigans lately. So I'm hoping no shenanigans this card. Hoping everything goes well. And yeah, looking forward to breaking it down for you guys. Before we get into, if you guys could, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things are much appreciated. You guys need to check out Prize Picks if you haven't already. Right now, you'll get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Use that code DFSBTN. You get $50 free in lineups you can use on Prize Picks, so go check it out there. All right, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it. We're going to start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. And up top, we have Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 275. So this is the fight that is most likely to end inside the distance. It's an interesting fight here. Khalil Roundtree's 8,400 on Draftkings, and we have Jamal Hill at 7,800. And it looks like a lot of money has came in on the Jamal Hill side. But I think whoever wins this fight is going to score very well, whether it's a Roundtree early knockout in the first couple rounds, or whether that's a Jamal Hill. Could be early knockout as well, but maybe a late knockout. Could also be a decision. I personally do lean towards the Jamal Hill side due to that $600 savings. And on top of that, I like the volume, the cardio. The only concern I have with Jamal Hill is kind of where he's at this point. You know, he's been dealing with some really bad injuries after the Glover fight. And I think even after the Hill fight, or the Pereira fight, got another pretty gruesome injury as well. So Hill's battling some injuries as of late, but if we get anywhere near the best version of Hill, I think he's very live to win this fight. Next we got probably one of my favorite fights in the card, Nazim Sadikov going against Nicholas Mota, minus 250 for the fight, doesn't go to decision. And yeah, I think it's a very violent fight here. Nicholas Mota hits very hard. Nazim Sadikov hits very hard. And we also see that Mota has been finished in all 5 of his losses. So I kind of think Sadikov's going to get it done here, get it done inside the distance, and put up a very nice score at 9,400. Nicholas Mota as a pump play, as a dart throw, makes sense. The dude has some power, but Sadikov's never been knocked out. So I think it's going to be a tricky matchup here for Mota. I think Sadikov gets it done. I'm going to have a decent amount of Sadikov this week. Next, we have a really important fight from a DraftKings perspective. I'd say it's my titty back Oral Boy going against Tofik Musayev. And we have my titty back 8,500. Tofik is sitting at 7,700. And I always love targeting these striker versus grappler matchups, right? Where you have Oralbai who's going to go out there and he's going to look for the takedowns. And if he's not able to get the fight down to the ground, he could potentially get knocked out here. Musayev hits very hard. I know Oralbai's tough, but I mean, that fight could have been stopped in his last fight against Mateus Rebex. He just took a ton of damage there, and Musayev's no joke on the feet, but, you know, Oral Boy at 8,500 could potentially go out there, get the fight down to the ground. I think whoever wins this fight has a style to score very well, whether it's my titty back with the takedowns, the grappling, maybe even a submission, or a Musayev, you know, either striking-based decision, but could also get a knockout here on the feet. So I think this fight could potentially end inside the distance. I do see a world where it does go to decision, but either way, I think the winner of this fight scores very well. And then we got Curtis Blades going against Rizvan Kunaev. Kunaev seems to be a very popular bet this week. A lot of monies came in on the Rizvan Kunaev money line, which is interesting. And yeah, I think you know, whoever wins this fight's probably going to score well, because I think Blades can win 2 ways, whether that's landing a big shot, getting a knockout, or just going back to the wrestling. He hasn't went to it in a while, but maybe he brings it back in this fight. I think Curtis Blades is always a guy to pay attention to, just with the style he brings to the table. He can always score well in a win. With Rizvan, if he's winning, could be a knockout. I mean, Curtis Blades has been knocked down in all 5 of his losses, and if he went out there and knocked out Blades on Saturday, I don't really think anybody would be shocked. So another really good fight to target. And yeah, there's not a ton of like pump plays I like this week, but Rizvan is somebody at 7,100 that I think is very interesting. Let's get to the core plays here. We have Nazim Sadikov, 9,400. We talked about him a little bit. I like Sadikov here. I think this fight's going to come down to durability, and Sadikov has durability, and Mota just really doesn't. I mean, Mota's been finishing all 5 of his losses. Even in that Ogden fight, he was getting absolutely destroyed and almost got submitted there. And yeah, Sadikov can mix in the takedowns. He's a good grappler. I think he can win by submission. And then on the feet, I think he can land some big shots. And I don't think Mota has the chin to take those big shots. So I think Sadikov gets it done here. I think he gets it done inside the distance, and at 9,400, I think he puts up a pretty solid score here. Next, we got Jung Young Park, 8,700. Jung Young Park's always the guy that I think is very underrated when it comes to DraftKings, a guy that can always score very well. He can mix in the takedowns. He's very high volume, can get submissions. And, Ismail Nordiev's a guy that I think he's actually pretty underrated. I think people crap on this guy too much, but he has been finished 4 times, 2 by knockout, 2 by sub. I think that Park's a more durable guy. I think Park has better cardio, and I think Park just has more ways to win. So I like Park here, 8,700. I think he could put a big score in a decision, maybe even a late finish along the way. Next, we got Jamal Hill, 7,800. I do think Hill's going to be one of the most popular plays on the card, especially with money coming in on him. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hill was actually the favorite by the time this fight kicked off. But yeah, I like Hill here. It's kind of taking a leap of faith here. If Hill's anywhere near the Jamal Hill that fought, Glover, I think he makes it look pretty easy, to be honest. But he's coming off of back-to-back knockout losses against Pereira, against Yuri. But I'm willing to take a shot on him here. I love the volume of Hill, the striking, the power that he brings to the table. I think if this fight gets extended, it does favor Hill as well. So I'm on the Hill side, but if Roundtree knocks him out, nobody really should be shocked. But I like Hill here personally. And then we got Melissa No Mess Mullen sitting at 9,000. Yeah, Mullen's at 9,000. I think she has a pretty high ceiling here. She's going against Daria Zelnikova, who Daria... decent takedown defense, I suppose, but once the fight hits the mat, it's bad. It's bad. Mullins, if she can get on top, she has nasty ground and pound. She's either a brown belt or a black belt in BJJ. And yeah, I think that ground and pound is going to give Daria a lot of problems. This is a rematch. In the first fight, Daria had a little bit of success on the feet early on, and we saw Mullins get on top, and Mullins finished the fight very shortly after. I could see something like that happening here. Mullins getting on top and either pounding away or finding a sub. So I like Mullins here, 9,000. I think she's a pretty high ceiling on this slate here. Getting into the GBP plays here, we talked about Curtis Blades a little bit. Curtis Blades is always in play. This is a guy that it's not too often you see heavyweights go out there and average over 5.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's still averaging 5.5 takedowns per 15 minutes without even wrestling much in a while. It's been a while since we've seen Curtis Blades go to that wrestling, a couple years. Maybe he goes to it here. If he does, I think we can score high, and and Blades also has underrated striking with good power. He's finished his last several wins by knockout as well. So yeah, I think Blades has a couple different paths where he can go out there and score pretty well here. Irina Alexeyeva, 8,900. Yeah, don't mind some Alexeyeva here. She's going against Claudia Sogulia. Sogulia, I just don't think is UFC caliber. Her striking's okay, but her ground game is just very, very bad. I mean, she has a 33% takedown defense. Irina Alexeyeva is going to be the much bigger fighter, the much stronger fighter as well, and I expect Irina to get on top here, and once she does, I think it's probably going to be a wrap. So I think Irina is a nice play here, 8,900, finish upside, some takedown upside, and yeah, don't mind her at all at this price. Next, we got my titty back oral buy, 8,500. Yeah, we talked about this fight because I think it's an important fight. I think this is probably one of the most important fights on the card because you have a striker versus grappler matchup where Orbai is going to try to get this fight down to the ground, and he's relentless with it. Orbai is a guy that can go out there and get 10 takedowns if need be. Sneaky submission game as well. Musayev has been submitted a couple times in his career. So yeah, I think my titty back in a win scores very, very well here at 8,500. And then Khalil Roundtree at 8,400, definitely in play here. He has a ton of power. Jamal Hill, there's question marks surrounding him, surrounding his durability, just surrounding him in general, the health. Is he coming into this fight 100%, all that? And yeah, Roundtree hits like an absolute truck. A Roundtree first, second, or third round knockout would not shock me. Getting into the live dogs here, yeah, Rafael Fiziev, definitely a live dog. I think this Bahamondes Fiziev fight's a very close fight. I think this fight probably goes to decision. I think it's probably competitive, and it's probably going to go into the hands of the crooked, corrupt judges, and Fiziev's going to be the hometown guy, so it wouldn't shock me if they gave Fiziev a competitive decision here. I don't really see either guy getting finished here. If somebody does get finished, it's probably Bahamondes getting some type of finish here against Fiziev, but I think this fight is going 15, and I think it could be close. Don't mind the hometown guy at 8,000. Next, we got Muhammad Usman, 7,600. Yeah, I don't love it at all. I really don't love this fight at all. But in terms of a live dog, I mean, Usman's absolutely live. I see this fight being pretty much 50-50. I think Hamdi early on can maybe have some wrestling success, but I don't think he has the cardio to push that pace for 15 minutes. I see this fight being just very, very close here. It probably goes to Hamdi. This decision, the crooked decision, probably goes to Hamdi here, but I think Usman is very, very live to win this fight. Is he live to score well or very high? Probably not, but I think he's live to win. Next, we got Tofik Musayev, 7,700. The other side of the Oralbai fight here. And yeah, if Oralbai, it turns out he's not able to get takedowns, he's not able to get the fight to the mat, Tofik's going to have a field day. I mean, because Oralbai is very, very hittable. He blocks punches with his face, and this guy Tofik has a ton of power, a ton of knockouts, like 18, 19 knockouts on his record. So yeah, I think it all comes down to who gets their way. If Tofik's getting his way, he's probably knocking out my titty back. And then Bogdan Grad, 7,400. I don't mind Grad at all this week. There's not a ton of dogs that I love. Grad's one of these guys that just has that dog in him. He's going to go out there. He's going to fight for your money. He's landing almost 6 significant strikes per minute. He's going to eat one to give one. He's going to push a pace. He has a ton of heart, solid cardio as well. And we've kind of questioned Naimov's cardio and heart in the past. When we saw Naimov quit in his fight against Felipe Lima just not too long ago. So yeah, if Grad's able to kind of weather an early storm here, eat some big shots, drag this fight into deep waters, it wouldn't shock me if Grad was able to pull off a pretty big upset here. Moving on to the pump plays, just Rizvan Kunaev, 7,100, really the only pump play that sticks out. I think he has some solid upside. If he's winning, it's probably him knocking out Blades, because that's how Blades loses. That's how Blades has always lost any fight ever. It's just getting knocked out, and these guys are big guys. They have power. A Kunaev knockout would not be the most shocking outcome in the world. 7,100, and it could also be like a greasy decision. Like, we could get a little greasy here. Could go to decision, could be competitive, and if it's competitive and it goes to decision, they're probably giving it to Kunaev. So yeah, I think there's a couple different paths for Kunaev to win this fight, and he's extremely cheap at 7,100. Definitely a pump play worth considering. And then the fade is going to be my guy Hamdi Abdul-Wahab. I just can't get there. I think this fight goes to decision at actually a very high clip, which is crazy to say for a heavyweight fight, but I just don't really see anybody finishing here. Hamdi has that wrestling background, but he doesn't have the cardio to wrestle for 15 minutes. We saw him go to the wrestling a tiny bit in his last fight and just completely abandoned it because he doesn't have the cardio to push that pace. So yeah, maybe he gets a takedown or two, but I don't expect him to push a high wrestling pace. I don't really expect him to finish. I think there's much better options on the card, so I'll be fading Hamdi Abdul-Wahab. And there you guys have it. Those are the DraftKings MMA picks for UFC Baku. Should be a very interesting card. I like that the card's starting early. And yeah, looking forward to it. Do me a favor on your way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel, guys, and best of luck for UFC Baku.